The violet glow of Pyrthia's setting suns filtered through the crystalline dome of the royal palace, casting prismatic shadows across the floor that Nylara Vexther could not see but could feel as temperature variations against her skin. Born without sight into the royal Zenithian bloodline, the princess had developed extraordinary sensitivity to energy fields, a gift that made her both revered and feared among her people. "Your Highness," whispered Mentor Calyx, his voice carrying the familiar resonance of concern, "we should return to the upper chambers. The elders forbid anyone from entering these caverns." Nylara turned toward his voice, her delicate antennae quivering slightly. "And yet the dreams call me here, Calyx. 3 nights now. The same vision, something waiting in the depths that only I can find." Out. She continued forward, her fingertips brushing against the living stone walls of the ancient passage. The caverns beneath the royal palace were said to contain the secrets of Pyrthia's creation. Chambers sealed since the cataclysm began draining their world's energy 5 generations ago. "The council believes these passages are unstable," Calyx persisted, following close behind. "Princess, please your father entrusted me with your safety." Nylara paused, her head tilting. "Do you hear that?" A vibration, like music without sound. Before Calyx could respond, Nylara moved with unexpected swiftness, navigating the uneven terrain with the precision of someone who had walked it countless times before. The passageway opened into a vast chamber, and there it was, the source of her dreams. Pulsing with an energy so intense that Nylara could perceive its shape, a crystal formation suspended in the center of the room. The echo crystal, she breathed, recognizing it from ancient texts she had studied through the hands of her readers. "It's supposed to be a myth, Princess. We must leave now," Calyx urged, genuine fear threading through his voice. "The legends say it bends reality itself. Such power is not meant for mortal hands." A distant rumble shook the cavern, dust raining from above. Nylara's antennae stiffened in alarm. "That was no natural tremor," she said. "Something's happening in the palace." The sound of running feet echoed down the passage behind them, followed by the unmistakable discharge of energy weapons. Calyx pulled Nylara behind a column. "Assassins," he whispered. "Stay hidden," but it was too late. 3 figures entered the chamber, their breathing measured, controlled. The princess and her keeper, one said. "How convenient." "The Krell Consortium sends its regards to the royal house," another added. "Your father has already joined your ancestors, Highness. You're the last of your line." Nylara felt Calyx move in front of her, heard the familiar hum of his ceremonial blade activating. "Run, Princess," he shouted as he engaged the assassins. Energy blasts scorched the air. Nylara heard Calyx cry out, felt the shuddering moment his life force extinguished. Grief and rage propelled her forward, not away from danger, but toward the crystal. If the legends were true, if it truly held dominion over time, her fingers touched the cold, living surface of the echo crystal. Reality shattered around her like breaking glass. "Princess." Calyx's voice called, impossibly alive. "Princess Nylara, can you hear me?" Time rewound. The world inverted, and Nylara fell through memory into the arms of a stranger who would change everything. And Nylara gasped as consciousness flooded back, her mind reeling with disorientation. She was no longer in the crystal chamber, but outdoors, the distinct scent of Pyrthia's redstone desert filling her lungs. Strong arms cradled her, and a voice unfamiliar yet somehow known spoke close to her ear. "Easy now. You took quite a fall when the transport crashed." The voice belonged to a man, the subtle harmonic differences marking him as human rather than Zenithian. "Can you stand?" "Where am I?" Nylara asked, her antennae quivering as they sought to map her surroundings. "Calyx. I'm Captain Elian Reyes, Earth Diplomatic Corps," the man replied, helping her to her feet. "Your escort was injured in the crash. My team responded to your distress signal." Elian Reyes. The name struck Nylara like a physical blow. In her original timeline, Captain Reyes had arrived 3 days before her father's assassination, sent as part of a last-ditch alliance between Earth and Pyrthia against the expansionist Krell Consortium. She remembered fragments of intelligence briefings about him. Decorated combat veteran, Brilliant strategist, died defending the royal family during the coup. Died. Yet here he was, his heart beating steadily next to hers. 3 days, she whispered. The echo crystal sent me back 3 days. What was that? Elian asked, his voice tinged with concern. Nylara straightened, quickly composing herself. Nothing of importance. Thank you for your assistance, Captain. She could feel his scrutiny, the way his attention lingered on her features. Humans often found Zenithian appearance, striking their purple skin, and sensitive antennae objects of fascination. We should move, Elian said finally. This region isn't secure. My shuttle is waiting beyond that ridge. As they walked, Nylara's mind raced. She had been given a second chance and opportunity to prevent her father's murder and the Krell takeover. But how much could she reveal without disrupting the timeline further? Your father will be relieved, Ilion continued. The king was concerned when your transport went offline. My father is alive, Nylara said, unable to keep the emotion from her voice. Elian paused. Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be? Forgive me, she recovered quickly. The crash was ... disorienting. Upon reaching the Earth shuttle, Nylara was greeted by a small team of humans in military uniform. She recognized none of them from her previous timeline. They too must have perished in the attack. During the flight to the palace, Nylara listened intently as Elian briefed her on the diplomatic mission. Every detail was precious intelligence she hadn't possessed the first time around. The Krell have positioned warships at the edge of your system, he explained. Earth believes they're planning something significant. That's why I'm here to finalize our mutual defense treaty. The Krell ambassadors are already at the palace, Nylara said without thinking. Elian's surprise was evident in his voice. How did you know that? It wasn't in any of our communications. Nylara cursed her slip. Palace intelligence keeps me well informed, Captain. Perhaps better than your own sources. She felt him studying her again. His silence waited, with unspoken questions. You're not what I expected. Princess Nylara, he said finally. And what did you expect, Captain? The reports described you as reserved, sheltered. You seem ... different. Nylara turned toward him, wishing for the first time she could see his face. Perhaps your reports were incomplete. As the shuttle descended toward the palace, Nylara steeled herself. She had 3 days to prevent assassination in Warand, to protect this man who didn't yet know he was destined to die for her. Captain Reyes, she said softly, I believe we have much to discuss about the Krell. The royal palace hummed with activity as preparations for the interplanetary summit reached their final stages. Nylara stood on her private balcony, fingers tracing the delicate echo crystal fragment she'd managed to break off before being thrown back in time. It pulsed faintly against her skin, a constant reminder of power and price. Princess. Her handmaiden Teres approached. The Earth Captain requests an audience. Nylara nodded, tucking the crystal into a hidden pocket of her ceremonial robes. 2 days had passed since her return to days of subtle manipulations, careful suggestions to increase security, and attempts to identify the traitors within the court. 2 days of growing closer to Elian Reyes. Send him in. Elian's footsteps were distinctive, confident yet measured, a warrior accustomed to moving with purpose. Princess Nylara, I hope I'm not interrupting. Not at all, Captain. She gestured toward a sitting area. Please. I've been reviewing the security protocols for tomorrow's ceremony, he said, settling across from her. Something doesn't feel right. Nylara's antennae quivered. In her original timeline, tomorrow was when everything had unraveled, when her father had been killed and the palace overrun. What troubles you specifically? She asked. The Krell requested last-minute changes to the processional route. Changes that exposed the king to less secure areas of the palace. And what does the Royal Guard commander say, Balix? He approved it without hesitation. Balix, Nylara whispered. Another piece falling into place, her father's trusted guard, a traitor. In the original timeline, she had never suspected him until it was too late. Princess? Elion's voice lowered with concern. You've been different since the crash. There are moments when you speak of things you shouldn't know, when you look at people as if you're seeing ghosts. Nylara felt a sudden, sharp pain behind her eyes, followed by disorientation. A memory her childhood tutor teaching her about stellar navigation simply vanished, leaving only the awareness something was missing. The echo crystal was taking its price, Captain, she said carefully. If I told you something impossible, would you listen without judgment? I've seen enough impossible things in my career to keep an open mind. Ilara took a deep breath. Tomorrow, assassins will attempt to kill my father during the ceremony. Balix will help them. The Krell will use the chaos to launch an invasion. She hesitated. And you will die protecting me. Silence stretched between them. She could feel his scrutiny, his careful evaluation of her words. How could you possibly know this? He finally asked. Because for me, it has already happened. Nylar retrieved the crystal fragment. This artifact allowed me to return from that future to try again. Another memory dissolved. Her first diplomatic journey to Purithia's sister moon, gone. Elian's hand covered hers. Warm and steady. That should sound insane, but it explains everything about you since we met. The recognition in your voice when you first heard my name. Your knowledge of things you shouldn't know. You believe me? The relief in her voice was palpable. I don't know what I believe, he admitted, but I trust you. And that's enough to act on your warning. His fingers lingered on hers, the contact sending an unexpected warmth through her. In her original timeline, they had barely spoken before the attack. Now, this connection between them felt like something precious and new, something worth fighting to preserve. We have until tomorrow to change history, Nylara said softly. Fighting against the knowledge that each time she used the crystal's power, pieces of herself would continue to fade away. Dawn broke over Pyrthia's capital, casting long shadows across the ceremonial plaza where dignitaries from 3 worlds gathered. Nylara stood beside her father, King Saruth, her formal regalia glittering with embedded sensor crystals that allowed her to navigate with precision. Their plan was in motion and had repositioned as Earth security forces, and loyal guards had quietly replaced those connected to Balix. You seem troubled, daughter, King Sorith said softly. Your antennae haven't stopped moving since we arrived. Nylara turned toward her father's voice, drinking in its resonance. In her original timeline, these were the last hours of his life. Just diplomatic nerves, father, she replied. The alliance with Earth changes everything. Indeed. Captain Reyes has proven quite the advocate for our cause. He speaks highly of you. A warmth spread across Nylara's face. We've had meaningful conversations, I've noticed. There was gentle amusement in her father's tone. In just 2 days, you seem to have formed quite the connection. Before Nylara could respond, Ilion approached, his footsteps now as familiar to her as her own heartbeat. Your Majesty, Princess, he said with formal deference. The Krell delegation has arrived. Nylara felt the subtle pressure of Elion's hand at the small of her baka, silent signal that their trap was ready. The touch lingered longer than necessary. His warmth seeping through the thin fabric of her ceremonial attire, the proceedings began. Speeches and formalities that Nylara only half listened to. Her senses stretched to their limits, monitoring the energy patterns of everyone nearby. Then she felt the subtle shift in the air as concealed weapons were readied. Now, she whispered to Ilion, chaos erupted in controlled bursts. Earth soldiers moved with precision, disarming the Krell assassins before they could strike. Balix lunged toward the king, energy blade activated, only to be intercepted by Elion in a clash of blinding light. Nylara moved with certainty, born of foreknowledge, guiding her father to safety as the trap closed around the conspirators. Yet even as victory seemed assured, she felt a disturbance time, shuddering around her like a struck crystal. Something's wrong, she gasped, the echo crystal fragment burning against her skin. The timeline is resisting correction. A stray energy bolt struck nearby, sending shards of stone exploding outward. Nylara felt Elion's body covering hers, shielding her from the impact. They tumbled together into an alcove, his breathing harsh against her ear. Are you hurt? He demanded, hands moving over her with gentle urgency. No, but you... ... Her fingers found warm liquid seeping through his uniform. You're injured. It's nothing, he insisted. Though pain edged his voice, in the momentary quiet of their shelter, With battle raging beyond, Nylara placed her palm against his chest. Feeling his heartbeats strong, vital, human, my timeline, "This is where you died," she whispered, "protecting me just as you're doing now." His hand covered hers. "Then I'd say your timeline got one thing right." Without warning, Elian closed the distance between them, his lips finding hers with unerring accuracy. The kiss was gentle yet urgent, the kiss of a man who understood how fragile time could be. When they parted, Nylara felt another memory slip away her mother's face. Gone forever again, as something new took root in its place. "I need to use the crystal again," she said. "The timeline is still trying to correct itself. The Krell had contingencies we didn't anticipate." "What will it cost you this time?" Elian asked, his voice thick with concern. Nylara touched his face, memorizing its contours with her fingertips. "Less than losing everything would." She clutched the echo crystal fragment, feeling its power surge as reality began to bend once more around them. "Find me," she whispered against his lips. "Whatever happens, find me again." Nylara awoke in her royal chambers, disoriented and grasping at fragmented memories. The echo crystal had sent her forward, this time past the assassination attempt, past the initial confrontation. Her hands immediately searched her body, finding unfamiliar bandages and healing wounds she didn't remember receiving. "Easy," came Elian's voice from nearby. "You've been unconscious for 2 days." 2 days? Nylara struggled to sit up. "What happened? Did we stop them?" "We stopped the assassins. Yes." His voice carried a mixture of relief and concern. "Your father is safe. The Krell conspirators have been detained." He paused, but there was a secondary attack. Their warships breached our defenses. Memories flickered like dying stars in Nylara's mind, fragmented, incomplete. She remembered the plaza, remembered Alien's kiss, but much else was simply ... gone. "The crystal," she said suddenly. "Where is it?" Ilian placed something small and warm in her palm, the echo crystal fragment, now dull and lifeless. "It shattered after you used it the last time," he explained. "You redirected its energy somehow, created a temporal shield around the palace when the bombardment began." His voice softened. "You saved thousands, Nylara. But the effort nearly killed you?" She closed her fingers around the inert crystal. "In my memories? They're not coming back, are they? The royal physicians don't understand what's happening. You remember some things perfectly like me, like your father, but other memories seem permanently lost." Tears slipped down Nylara's cheeks. "A fair trade," she whispered. "The crystal takes a piece each time it changes fate." Elian sat beside her on the bed, his weight familiar and comforting. "You called my name in your sleep. You said we had met before, in another time. That I had died? Yes. Tell me everything you remember." So she did. Piecing together the fragments that remained their first meeting in both timelines, the warning, the kiss, the desperate gamble at the end to redirect the crystal's power against the Krell fleet. When she finished, Elian took her hands in his. "The physicians say your memory loss may continue for a while as your mind adjusts to the temporal displacement. Until there's nothing left of who I was," Nylara said quietly. "No." The certainty in Elian's voice startled her. "I've been keeping records for you, everything you've told me, everything we've experienced. Your history written down to preserve it." "Why would you do that?" "Because in 2 timelines now I've found myself drawn to you in ways I can't explain." His forehead touched hers gently. "And if you forget everything else, I want you to remember this. Some connections exist beyond time, beyond memory." The chamber door opened, and King Sareth entered with measured steps. "The Earth fleet has arrived," he announced. "The Krell are retreating from our system." "It's over then," Nylara whispered, relief washing through her. "Thanks to both of you," her father replied. "Captain Reyes has explained some of what happened, though I admit much of it strains belief." "What happens now?" Nylara asked. "Now," Ilian said, his hand finding hers, "we write a new future, one neither of us has seen before." As Purethia's twin suns set beyond her windows, Nylara felt something she had thought lost forever in her sacrifices to the crystal hope. The palace hummed with renewal, with possibilities unwritten. Her world was safe. Her father lived, and beside her sat a man who had crossed time itself to find her again. "I may not remember everything we were," she said softly to Elian, "but I look forward to discovering everything we might become in the sky above." Stars emerged, one by one, new constellations to navigate by. New stories to tell in a future finally unbound from fate.